welcome back to the vlog. So guys, I wasn't too sure what I was planning on doing this week, but what I'm going to tackle right now, I'm going to be taking care of these rust spots right here on the BMW. I don't want them to continue to rust more than they are. The car needs quite a bit of body work. It's pretty rough, but the goal is to pretty much just kind of sand down all the rust spots, go through it with some different grits of paper. So I have 80 grit to kind of get down to the base. I forgot to get 160, then I got 320, and I got 400. After the 400, I'll probably just end up priming it from there just to stop it from rusting. And worst comes to worst, I also got some body filler to take a look at it. So I'm gonna start on that right now. Probably just end up doing like a little bit more of a time-lapse version, and when I get over to the car, I'm also going to show you guys some things I might be changing up. It's pretty cool, but the rear quarter has an awful dent in it. Probably won't be able to get it to just pop out, so I'll probably end up having to either just completely fill it, cut it, weld it, or put a whole new quarter panel on there. So I'll show you guys a little bit more once I get over to the car. So some years ago, I actually went to school for auto body collision repair. So I used to, do a lot of stuff like this at the school. It was called Warren Tech. I did it in high school, but I haven't done any kind of body repair since then. So it's been a little while. But the other thing I wanted to show you guys, all these trim pieces, this gap right here, I don't know if I want to continue to run the trim. I think, it's going to be a long process. Obviously, this door has seen better days, all dented in right there. But other than that, this quarter is the one with the big dent into it. I'll show you. You can see it. It's bad. But I think I want to tackle filling in all these rails at some point with bondo. This door is probably not going to end up staying, but I do just want to kind of convert some of the rust to primer for now so I can make it just look a little bit better than what it is. All right, guys, so I'm going to start with my 80 grit sandpaper. I'm just going to come in here. I always recommend using a block if you have one. I'm just going to be hitting it. I'm going to be going kind of in an X patch, just trying to get this all down to bare metal and then get rid of all of these chunks of paint. So I might even just start in here with some kind of a flathead screwdriver, break up all this paint, and start, piecing this out kind of where I want to do my area. I'm probably going to end up coming in a nice little square patch. Might even hit this a little bit further down, but I'm going to start peeling up all this light paint and then start sanding. I'm going to be showing this process with a little bit less power tools. I do have a towel underneath here to catch all the debris that I have coming off this, but at this point I'm going to start sanding, so I'm going to be speeding this one up as well, just so you guys don't have to listen to all of it, and so we can kind of, be getting down to the finished product here. So I'm just going to continue to take this all the way down. I've made my square, so I'm going to try to stay within this area, try and get rid of all this, whatever he did there, all these like weird raised chunks. It's all kind of weird, so I'm just working away at this, going to make this as smooth and as clean as possible. I do recommend, if you're ever working with rust, put a mask on. So I'm going to continue at this. So already like that, just with the 80 grit, this is coming down, this is getting a lot smoother. A lot of this you're not starting to feel. You can still see where there's a lot of high spots just from sanding with the paper. So like down here, this is all rough, this is all chunked up. This might be more or less of part of the dents that was in here. So I'm just going to try to get whatever I can out of this and make it as smooth as possible. So as I'm cutting into this, you can see where all the high and low spots are. So they definitely did something with this door previously. So over here you can see where there actually is bondo. There's some weird grooves right here. Right here there's a bunch of like metal work done, like they tried to weld it shut. Some high spots right here. So I'm just still working at it. There's probably not going to be too much I can do. I might try to go over it with a small amount of bondo, but if you look, let's see, kind of clean this spot up a little bit. can really see it's almost like they went back through and welded a bunch of spots, tried to fill something up because of all the rust. So I'm gonna kind of just do what I can to get rid of at least the main rust on the metal itself. It's starting to come together pretty well, but there's only gonna be so much I can do with just 80 grit sandpaper without any power tools. So I'm gonna keep at it, and I'll kind of show you guys, you know, kind of what I'm doing when I'm doing it. At this point, I think I'm just going to use a very, very, very small amount of my body filler just so I can help even it out. Yes, this spot itself might be a high spot compared to the rest of the door, but there's a lot of these like little grooves that if I don't at least fill with something, it's just gonna leave a really, really weird mixture with the paint. So I'm going to do a very small amount. I'll just follow the steps on here. They have a whole little, I'll show you real quick. They have a whole little measuring guide on these. If you just open up in here, you have your hardener. Come up into this booklet right here. You guys are probably staring at me in my reflection. Just open all this up and you have your guides. So I'm just going to be doing a little 2-inch filler, a very small amount. Follow this, you'll be able to do it good. I'll kind of show you guys that process. Try to get it a little bit mixed up. You don't really have to do this. It's better to have like a wooden stick like you would for painting. But just going to kind of give her one of those. Pop this lid off. That's going to be your body filler. Cardboard with a piece of paper on it works best. This is my plastic spreaders. So I'm just going to give my... Now you take your hardener. This stuff is what's going to do the best. A lot of people say do it down here. I say if you really want, take your wide, you got your short, you know, just kind of measure it out, and you're going to want to put just a little fine bead across the top, just like that. Now, when you start mixing your body filler, you're not stirring it, you're taking it, like I said, it's a little bit easier on a piece of cardboard. You're just going to go like this, peel it, spread it. You're just going to repeat this process, go in different directions, get it all, spread it. You want to get very little air added into. So this is what I would say is a good color. I'm trying to give you guys a good spot in the sun. So when you spread it out like that, you can see there's not really any blue left. And so now I'm going to set the camera up to where you guys can see the dent. I'm going to pop this on. I would not let this sit for too long. You don't have a lot of time. So now when you guys are putting this on, you know, you are going to sand this back down. So don't be afraid to put it on there nice and thick. But you're trying to alleviate all of these bumps and all of the air. So you're going to get your puddle, right? You're going to just kind of dab it on, come back, push a little bit harder, kind of follow the line, go over it. Kind of dab it on, come back through, push a little bit harder, pull it off with it, right? So I'm going to scoop this off, almost throw it everywhere. I'm going to come in here, get my bottom edge a little bit more, because I'm not working on that area. Spread this off. Don't worry about too much of like all these other chunks, you know, you can get all that off. Get a nice little bit, plop it on a little higher, come back through with some pressure. Just kind of layer on. You only want to do this once you've gotten to around 80 to 160 grit. It needs a good spot to bond to the paint or the bare metal or whatever, you know. You just want to make sure you have the nice grooves for it. And it's already hardening up a little bit because it is nice and warm outside today. But I'm just going to make sure I got whatever. Like I said, you can take all this off. don't worry about that. Just worry about the spot that you're supposed to be on. Might use a little bit too much hardener because this stuff is already drying up. This is what bondo looks like when it's drying up. See, now it's pretty much unusable. So maybe use a little bit less hardener if it's a big area you want to try to do it on. Thankfully, I got what I needed. Not worried about this outer corner, so I'm just gonna let this dry up, come back in, and I'll show you guys how to do that part. Alright guys, so we're back. The hardener is now fully dried, and I found a block. It's a little bit big for the application, but I'm just gonna be going right over there. It's just gonna help make this a lot smoother. I definitely could have brought some more bondo over to this side. I wish it didn't dry out as fast as it did, but really, this is the big spot that we're worried about here. So now, I am going to throw a piece of, actually, instead of starting with my 80 grit, I'm going to throw a piece of my 320 grit on here, just to kind of start eating away at this, but not too much. I'm going to get this popped on here. Oh, see, we've run into an issue. The block that I found is not big enough. So I'm going to see if I can make this work the way. So I cleaned it, or I set the block up the best I could for the application. So I'm just going to use my bottom hand since I'm not hitting this side down here. I'm just going to hit it like this, and I'm going to do that same thing that we were doing, but I'm going to take this a little bit more serious on this time, going in nice X patterns. At this point, it's okay to start feathering it out a little bit further. Obviously, I don't have the paint color to match this, but it's going to work for what it is. So I'm just going to break up some of my bondo that's on here, throw it onto my towel, come in here, kind of blow it down, and just give it like a nice little wipe to kind of see what we're dealing with. And all we're trying to do now is smooth down the bondo, try to get, you know, it's filling up these high spots, you know, or filling up the low spots, keeping the high spots there. And we're just going to slowly feather at this. You're not going to be wanting to put too much pressure. That's why I jumped up to the 320. And we're trying to get rid of this sharp edge around the outside, these chunks, and trying to make this a nice, smooth piece of work. So I'm going to kind of go a little bit slower, work at this end. This is starting to get pretty smooth, but if you can feel it with your hand, you're going to be able to see it through the paint. So when I do get to a full paint on this, you know, obviously not on this door, but when this whole car is getting painted, if I do have to do any of this kind of steps, we want to not be able to feel a single line. So I'm going to keep working at this right now. So I'm going to jump up to my 400 grit, which is a lot lighter, and I'm just going to take this nice, easy, and slow, and then I can put the primer on top of this, make sure my primer is kind of sitting good around this whole area, and then we'll be good to go. So I got my 400 tossed on. I'm going to roll it around this edge. So with primer and paints, you still need a little bit of scuff for it to stick well. So now I'm just going to come in here where you see all these deep scratches. I'm going to start taking this out so then I can lay my primer over this whole area. I'm probably going to end up kind of taping and papering around where I don't want all this paint to get at. You know, I'm going to come in here where I accidentally got some filler at, you know, make these bottom lines nice and clean. Trying to just make this as smooth as possible. I'm just going to go take my time and try to blend all of these edges and try to make this, you know, all even and nice. So like I got a lip right here. You hardly feel it, you can hardly hear it. Right here, that's almost gone completely. Right here, that's nice. I almost can't even feel that, you know. So I'm just going to make sure there's a chunk right here. I'm going to work at that, get rid of this whole line, and then we'll be good to primer. So I am throwing my 300 back on just to help kind of eat at this top section. It's just a little bit thick, so I'm just going to continue to try to feather it, and then I'll come back in with my 400 yet again and eat it back down. And like you can see right here, there's this little divot. We're trying to work at getting rid of that. So the good thing about this primer that I went with, it's actually a filler and a sander, so it's a little thicker, so it can fill some of these light spots. So there's all these nice little chunks that I got. I'm still going to try to smooth that out with the 400 the best I can. Now I've got pretty nice even edges, so we're going to continue at it with the 400 and see how nice we can try to make this, the bondo and the paint, before we even consider priming it, just so everything's nice and leveled. So now we got our nice area. We're just kind of going over every section that we touched with the 80 grit and the 320 grit, so we can make it nice and a smooth surface for all the primer to stick to. You know, we want to try to get rid of all these fine edges too, because those will be noticeable. And once you think you're at a happy spot with all that you've done, you know, all these little holes, like I said, it's going to get filled. You know, you can't really do much better than this with how this door is looking. So, I'm going to make sure all this is going to be nice and clean. I would recommend mineral spirits if you have it. Mineral spirits is the best to clean all this stuff. I'm just going to use, actually, I don't even know, maybe some alcohol. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I'll get this nice cleaned up. I'm going to tape right around where I want it to go, and then we'll spray primer on it. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now going to mask around this. And please guys, by every means, I am not a professional body artist. So if you have any questions that seem, you know, a little out of my comfort zone, go to the professionals. Alright, now that we've got it nice and shaken up, just gonna get that little bit out. Now we're just gonna do a nice, light, easy coat all the way across this section that we have nice and open. Oops, see, you do not want to do that. Let that kind of sit dry for a second. That first nice little spritz that I did, you do not want to do that. That can make it uneven. We'll trigger happy today, but I'm gonna let this kind of sit for a second and put the second layer down. Once we get to the point of where we want to either paint over this, you know, try to match the blue somewhat, or if we just want to leave this at primer, what I would want to do is go back over this with probably like the 1,000 mark, somewhere around there, and then, you know, just kind of make it nice and blended into the paint for the meantime. But I don't know if I'm going to take that step. I might leave it in this square, maybe just come hit, you know, kind of the outside points with some paint or some sand, and make sure it's nice and taken care of. But for now, you know, I'm probably just going to leave it with this patch and kind of see if I like where this route's going, or if it's just time to replace body parts. So hit it with that second layer now. Make this coat a little bit better. So as of right now, we can see this is all here. You got all these little bumps, got some lines right here, got some lines over here. So obviously this was very far from perfect finish by any means, but I'm okay with seeing these little bubbles for now. This door is awful. I'm just gonna let this kind of car go by real quick. I'm okay with seeing these bubbles because it's better than seeing the rust. But honestly, I don't even know if you guys can see it. Oh yeah, you can. Yeah, so you see I got these bubbles right here. Got those lines, but compared to the gross rust spot, I do like the way this looks a little bit better. Forgot to zoom the camera back out on that one, but I am going to do one more layer to finish this off. I was trying to go a little bit heavier towards the actual bad spot, but I mean, it's good from far. If I get about 6 feet away, it is perfect, and that's all I need because as a drift car, it's not going to be perfect. And honestly, guys, while this coat is drying, I just want you to know, please, I'm not a professional by any means. This is just what I went to school for 2 semesters, so I'm not 100%. But as of right now, while it's drying, I'll pull the I'll put the before, try to match these up with each other. But this is what we have right now. Like I said, once this dries, you'll be able to see it a little bit better, but give me 1 sec. So as I'm pulling this tape off, you guys can see, and I'll walk further away so you guys can get a real glimpse. So this is going to be our area. It's going to be gray for the meantime, but immediately look at these 2 spot differences. So you can hardly see where the spot was. Now you can see there's all this. So I'm going to work on this probably tomorrow. It's getting dark, cold, getting hungry, but let's see what we got going with our tape line right here. So, let me know. What are you guys liking? Yeah, it's a gray patch, but honestly, look at the difference of this. I'm gonna take my phone off my tripod real quick so I can really show you guys. So as you can see, when you guys get up close, yeah, there's these down here, but for my eyes, seeing this patch is a lot better than seeing this rust spot. So yeah, you know, it's got the cracks, it's got the grooves, all the lines, but compared to each other, they're looking pretty good. So hopefully you guys like these kind of videos. Seriously, comment down below what you guys want to see. I've got some parts coming for the differential on this car, so I can start getting that welded up. There's little locker plates that are going to help keep it from just filling it with welding. You know, it's gonna be pretty cool. But other than that, that's pretty much all I got for you guys this week. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Stay tuned. Catch you guys next week. Peace.